2. Should be fine now. Hopefully nobody decided to run away. So, yeah, where were we? We're launching, and it was all horribly going wrong, because of course it was. Actually, let me just refresh the Twitch page, because it's not happy with the chat. Ah, there we go. That's better. Let's see, 24 viewers. Right. So, fingers crossed that the internet behaves and that I can actually get this thing into orbit. So let's try that again. And let's just stick to using one key, because I can manage one key. It's when you have to use 2 keys that things get very complicated, which is probably why I'm so bad at games like World of Tanks and Warships, because you have to use multiple keys. I should just play artillery in World of Tanks, because then you don't have to use any keys at all. You just use the mouse button. Load full premium HE and you just use a mouse button and it's fine. So, I think actual equatorial launches might have to wait until we have some semblance of MechJeb available, but other than that, this should be fine. Yeah, if it's having issues, then I can only say refresh. So this is slightly less like polar than the other one, but it's still going to be a kind of weird circular thing. This should also, this first stage, get us reasonably high. So we're not trying anything fancy. We're just going to get to a low orbit. Oh, that's a new... That must be from a mod. A little button that says click to warp to apoapsis. And then we're going to try and... Well, we actually have the nodes available, so that's a huge help. So, the fact that you can add maneuver nodes now means I can go boop and... Oh, that's rather awkward and ugly. I really wish, as one of my kind of things that would be super good if you could do it. Right, no, that's not going to work. That's saying 2000 delta V. That can't be right. I really wish you could pause the game while you're doing this, because there's always this kind of slightly frantic scramble to set the maneuver node up. And again, when you've got MechJeb, it's fine. Oh, actually, that puts the apoapsis at about where we need it to be. Perhaps just in the orbit. So I can then... still saying 2,000 meters a second delta V. That seems awfully high to attain orbit. Probably because I've... it is a very, like... I suppose I didn't gravity turn very much, so I'm just kind of gone, not quite just straight up, but it's been a long time since I had to do this manually. Right, so estimated burn. Okay, we want to start burning actually now. Because we're going to be burning on to the second stage. Right, is this enough delta V? Yeah, once you get the nodes unlocked, like trying to get it to orbit without the nodes is super difficult. I think we might have enough delta V, you know. I mean, it's only a tiddly little payload on top of this rocket, so... the question is, we can get to orbit, but are we going to get to the orbit we need to test this engine? Oh, no, there we go. We're actually now going out too far, I think. So, perhaps... And apoapsis is actually a bit too high. So, we've got a tiny bit of fuel left. It's possibly not enough to circularize. Right, I think. But we've made orbit, so that's one of the contracts. And I don't know if we actually get any additional science or anything. No, because this is still just space near Gale. But yeah, orbit! Huzzah! What we're going to try and do, I think this is the retrograde marker. It's a weird, awkward, even clunky orbit, but burn a tiny bit of delta V to bring that there, and then we'll see if we've got enough to circularize, and if not, I might be a bit cheap and I might use a quick save and just plunge it back into the atmosphere instead, because otherwise it's space junk. It's only got a limited battery life. 146, 147, 50. Oh wow, okay, actually no, that's definitely doable. 58 meters a second. I thought it might be like hundreds of meters a second of delta V, but no. So node in 14 minutes. Obviously I'm not going to make you sit here and go through 14 minutes in real time. So yeah, we're just going to circularize, and then that's another contract. Right, 5 minutes. We definitely don't have enough to test the Separatron, though. Like, I had no idea how much delta V we'd end up with once we got to orbit. Enough for this contract, but not enough for the 500,000 kilometer contract. Right, so it's a very short burn. I do like this music. It doesn't look like a space tog. Well spotted, Aimless. No, this is a Galileo Planet Pack Korea, so it's basically KSP but modded up the wazoo. Whereas the space tog, the Korea mode I built that in, is essentially not quite unmodded, but more or less unmodded. It's just MechJeb and a few other bits and pieces that are mostly visual. Whoa, too far. Oh, that's put it out much too far. Damn it. I'm going to have to readjust again now. I completely overcooked I fumbled the keyboard and completely overcooked it. Oh, well, I'm just completely messing this up now. So you know what, we'll just warp from the orbital view. We need to set up another node to bring it back in. I do have enough delta V for one more correction. Hey, Nikos. Just chasing some early game contracts at the moment to get some of that sweet cash money. Right, 145, 147. So I have to be much more precise. Which means being way less heavy with the throttle. Right, so we need to actually be pointed at the node. I don't know if you can see it, but these little dots down here, that is yet another mod that it aims to give you a much more precise node times, basically. Which is quite a nice feature. So it basically gives you little countdown pips. 148, 146. Okay, so the orbit is correct, and I think we just now go right click, run test. Bing, 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 another contract. So at this point we can just point retrograde and burn this thing back into the atmosphere. Because it's just going to be space junk otherwise. So you know what? We'll watch it on the way down. We'll watch the fireworks this time. It has served its purpose and served it well. So this has been a very successful test once I did finally get it into orbit. Now this game, it can be so pretty, and when you've got things like scatterer and like one of the things with the Galileo Planet Pack is it comes with some fairly high-res textures. I think they're 4K resolution. They're actually working on an 8K resolution texture pack, which is going to take up obviously more memory space, but if you've got the RAM for it, I think that could look awfully nice. So I'm sort of tempted to progress to the point where I'm maybe putting up craft into orbit, but then just bringing them immediately back down rather than putting stuff up and leaving it up in orbit. Because I really want to install it with the 8K resolution textures, because some of the planets do look pretty damn nice already. It's almost like I've played this before. Well, normally when I play with MechJeb, and it's you know, MechJeb doing all of the tedious parts for me, but I'm having to do it manually. So expect a bit more suckitude. Also, Sea of Strangers, he's probably gone already. I just saw that. Okay. It just completely burned up. I wondered what had happened there, but no. It basically all hit its temperature limit and went poof in a thing of smoke. So, back to the Space Center. I'm not sure if it was the G-forces or the heat that took it apart there, but either way. So that takes care of two of those contracts. We're actually starting to get to the evening. This is all still the first day, for crying out loud. So... Okay, there's a contract to return to Gale from orbit, so that involves sending something up that's also got parachutes, I guess. We'll take that. Position of a satellite, no, we won't take that because I've already given the reason that, you know, we want to... oh god, that's really far out as well. That would be a bit tricky with the current level of stuff available. Right, I've got... I could just take a bunch of these test part contracts for a hit of quick cash and also a little bit more science and prestige. So we're just going to take all these test things at the launch site contracts. And we might actually have something else unlockable at this point as well. So what's in there? Adapters, decoupler, radial decouplers. I think we might go for the thing that gives me more plane parts. RCS ports. Oh, more parachutes. Ah, and our first command pod as well. Some fairings. Okay, universal storage stuff, life support containers, Science Junior. And that's some more miscellaneous. Oh wait, we already looked at that one. It's that one I wanted to look at. Life support containers. Oh, that's just going to be life support containers. That is what it says. Yeah, let's go for the plane parts. And we'll run through a couple of these launchpad contracts and then we'll go to the next day. Hobnob biscuits, the milk chocolate hobnobs are very nice. I do like me a milk chocolate hobnob. Right, so we can just delete that because this is just our... That cockpit though. Where are we? Oh yeah, I do want the Probodobodine probe core. So Rockomax brand decoupler. I could probably do these all in one go. Although are these going to be... Some of them are going to be activate through staging and others are going to be right click and... Okay, so... I could try and do all of these in one go. I might end up with something very wonky looking. So what we're going to need is... yeah, let's do that. Basically a thing with like several arms. Because we're testing 4 things, right? So this is a thoroughly professional looking test rig we've got going here. So the Rovemax M2 or S2, so we've got just a little wheel there. Have I tried orange hobnobs? I have not, I don't think. So that's the dinky little wheel. We don't even really need a whole separate thing for that, but there it is. Can actually have that slightly close to the ground. Right, so we want a hammer and a flea, which are both SRBs. Oh, this is totally going to work, right? Well, actually what we'll do is... No, well... oh yeah, I'd better turn the thrust level right down, because otherwise it's going to... I could even scale it down. It's so cute! Because I don't think it matters as far as contracts are concerned with the scaling. That actually looks like a Sepratron. You could scale these down and basically use them as Sepratrons. I'll make it slightly bigger. The 625 scale. So what we'll do is we'll have those be on the same thing. So yeah, these are scale versions for testing. I'm not just cheating so I can stick it all on one frame, honest. And the other thing we need is the Rockomax brand decoupler. We don't need to scale that. Coupling, Rockomax brand decoupler. Stick that on the side there. Although actually maybe we will scale it because it looks a bit ridiculous at that size compared to the rest. So you know what, we'll have them all be on separate things. So, I think the last thing we need is a little aerial so I can actually communicate with the probe core. We should just be able to get 4 contracts in one go for however much. I didn't even see how much this is costing me, this contraption, but the contract should be enough to cover the cost. So, we're going to go... Boop! Oh, it didn't even come off. It's supposed to have come off. And then we're going to go and launch, fire that, and then we're going to fire that, and then we're going to right click on that and say run test. This one's going to take a little bit longer to burn through. Good lord, look at the smoke. You could make some, like with tweak scale, you could probably make some like firework looking things. And then we can actually just recover the thing for funds as well. So yeah, tweak scale's really nice. How have I never been playing with tweak scale before? That's a really nice mod. Even just stock KSP with tweak scale gives so many options, and of course I've now got all these other parts in as well. So yeah, we recovered all the bits, and we obviously got the contract monies as well. We got a little bit more, tiny bit more science, but that's okay. That's not really about that. Bring 2 tourists on a high G adventure. Right, we're gonna go to the next day, and we've got one contract that requires a plane. We'll also see that's just a haul into flight one, so we'll take that. I've got 2 more launch site ones. I guess we'll take those. Well, the contract is literally have 2 tourists pass out from G-forces. I'm not sure if I want to take that because I don't know how much it would take. We'll skip that one, I think. What's this one? Test a rocket at a specific altitude at a specific speed. That's one that basically needs a plane. Yeah, some of the test in flight ones can be quite awkward in terms of their specific requirements. Right, we'll take those 2 launch site ones as well then, just for a tiny bit more cash. How are we doing for funds? We'll do the basic runway upgrade. We'll spend a little bit so we get a little bit less bumpy takeoff. Things like hangar upgrades, launch pad upgrades. Oh, the launch pad upgrade is actually really cheap. We'll go for a basic launch pad upgrade. R&D is pretty expensive. The admin building I generally leave till last. Astronaut complex. I'm actually going to spend the funds to upgrade that as well. Kerbals can perform EVAs is going to be pretty important once we start doing manned orbital stuff. So yeah, we've done a bit of upgrading. I don't think there's much else there. So back to the space plane hangar. And let's take a look. Let's modify the Doom Dart, because we've actually got some. Or should we build another plane? Shall we maybe build another plane? So what are the actual contracts? There was one, yeah, drogue shoot 5,000 to 8,000, and then there's just haul landing gear into flight. I'm just taking a look at some of these new cockpits. Mark 1 business cockpit. I'm tempted to, yeah, we'll do a new. Actually, there was a couple of adjustments I needed to make to the Doom Dart as well, wasn't there? So we needed to tone down some of the control surfaces a bit. I could put some proper control surfaces, but you know what? We'll just leave that as it is, as a testament to our first plane, which was surprisingly successful. So let's build a new plane. Okay, once again, chat, you get to choose what you want this plane to be called, and I'm just going to decide which. It almost looks like a helicopter cockpit. I think that's actually what that's supposed to be. And oh, interesting. Does that one carry 2? No, that's just more like a fighter rather than an ordinary jet cockpit. That's kind of cool, actually. Yeah, all these different just variations. But no, we'll go on one of these glass cockpits. Let's try this Mark 1. I'm pretty sure that's meant to be a helicopter cockpit, because there are helicopter engines in this. You know what? No, let's go with the other Mark 1. I'm being totally decisive right now. Planesky McPlaneface. That's definitely a name. What am I looking for? Structural? Yes. I think this time we'll use the proper scaled fuel tank. Oh, we've also started to get some funky looking parts that we don't actually have any other Mark II parts for yet. I'm guessing you kind of can use this as like some kind of floaty thing. I don't know if they're like tilty or whatever, but that looks kind of cool. I don't know if we want to experiment with that just now though. We might use... Oh, okay. That's one of the expanded Mark thingy parts. It's a Mark II turboprop. I think I'm going to do a high-wing turboprop. Although I don't know... We might need to go back to the jet, because I don't know the Juno. I don't know how well these do. I don't think they have a tremendous amount of... Oh, the turboprop does. So some of these are very low thrust, 22 kilonewtons. I think these kind of engines are good if you want to make replicas of like a fighter aircraft, but well, that's quite a big, that's a very big engine. That's why they give so much thrust. I don't think we can fit that one. 25 kilonewtons, 30 kilonewtons. Right, so we'll have Mark 1 Junior. That's a new part. Hey, Chase. Right, Planesky McPlaneface seems to be literally the only... You know what? We're going to call this the... We're going to call this the Turbo Cyber Mark 1. And it's going to be the Mark 1 because reasons. So, after being named after... Cyber Wraith, I'm sure it will, of course, you know, prove to be fine and not crash out the sky at the earliest opportunity. Well, it certainly will do if I'm flying it. Right. Wings. We're going to make this a high-wing turboprop. A B-52 with prop engines. I'm trying to imagine that. Mind you, the B-36, the Convair B-36 had that really weird arrangement of like 6 pusher turboprop engines and outboard jet engines for takeoff. Having said that, pusher turboprop engines. I wonder if we can do pusher turboprop engines in KSP. Right, we want I think actually different wing parts than our small wing parts. But yeah, I'm trying to the B-52 with turboprops. That look a bit weird. Right, so classy, Cyber, classy. Yeah, the B-36 is just such a cool looking plane. Have we got any retractable gear? We do. We've got the small retractable gear. So what we're going to do... How big are these engines? We're not going to use one of these huge ones, obviously, but... like a pair of these on each wing, maybe? I'm just trying to... I don't know what the limits of these are. They're all very high efficiency, though. I guess we'll go with these ones. Right, we want maybe a little more wing surface. So we'll add that in there, and then do the engines give their own intake air? I think they do. I think engines have these engines have their own intake air, so we don't need separate circular intakes or anything. So what we're going to do then is just I think more circular fuselages. Although they act a little bit weird when you start trying to pull them around. So basically something like that. And then cap off the ends with like those. Actually, I prefer the look of the small nose cone. So you know what? We'll just use the small nose cone and scale it up because we can do that. Right. So those engine nacelles look a little bit on the big side, but that's fine. So that's got all the fuel in the center. So once the fuel drains out. That's fine. It moves forward and up a little bit. That should be okay. Right, I've got no idea what this is going to be like stability-wise. One way to find out. We're not going to do canards in this one. We'll do a much more traditional-looking T-shaped tail, I think. Oh, trying to get the tail perpendicular on these tailplane parts is parts, that's the word, tailplane parts even. It's a bit finickety. Oh, wrong arrow. So even if you never go into space in Kerbal Space Program, there's still like there are people out there that just muck around with it for the ability to make planes. Hell, you go on Kerbal X, which is a site where people can share their designs. Quite a lot of the stuff you see up there is literally just people's aircraft designs. So that's going to be our pitch authority. You might want to up the limiter on that because I don't know that these parts give you that much authority. And then we want some flaps for the wings, or elevons I suppose they're technically called, which are going to give us our roll authority. So make sure they're deploying the correct way, that's fine. I'm also going to... Oh, do I not get the... Oh, I suspect auto struts would require having things unlocked, which I don't have unlocked. So, so what is it? The drogue chute, the radial, a radial drogue chute I have to take up, and LY-35 medium landing gear. We literally just have to take into flight. Doesn't have any other particular requirements. So I can have some proper retractable landing gear already, which is nice. Oh, that's not on both sides. Yeah, that's not going to go well. We're just going to, you know, load it in and it's just going to fall over on one side. No, KSP? What did you do there? There we go. Yeah, trying to set stuff on sometimes from the bottom can be a bit fiddly. Sometimes it's easier just to flip the entire thing over and stick the landing gear on that way. Right, around about there should be fine. So that's sitting there. So we need to draw that up to about there. Right, so we've got something that looks vaguely like a twin-engine bomber. Which is probably going to be quite a slow design, but that's fine. So the parts for testing are this landing gear. We'll actually just... stick that on the back, I think. Shouldn't interfere with the flight too much there. And what was the other thing? A radial parachute. That's going to be in utility. So I just literally stick that on the tail boom as well. So the Turbo Cyber Mark 1. We're just about ready to fly. And make sure the staging is correct. This time we'll take Jeb up for a spin because this actually has 2 pilot seats, so we can take both Jeb and Valentina. Hey, Gidzeki. Alright, so I didn't immediately fall on its arse. That's a good sign. I think we're just going to use atmosphere autopilot and cheat a bit and just have it be super stable. So let's first off check our control surfaces. So roll authority is good. Pitch authority is good. And there's the yaw, so that's fine. Okay, that's much louder in one headphone than the other. I don't know why that's louder on one side than the other. That doesn't particularly make sense. Let's take a look in the cockpit view. Well, that's kind of cool. I think it is supposed to be a helicopter cockpit. But, you know, this being KSP, you can just use it for whatever. But the fact it's a 2-person cockpit is actually really handy. Okay, that seems super loud compared to what it should be. Okay, tell me how that seems. Yeah, that's coming really strongly out my right-hand side headphone. Right, brakes off. Let's put this bad boy through its paces. Okay, we need a bit more speed than that, really. Apparently. So this is with 2 engines and we're still going at like 50 meters a second. I don't know if we need a bit more wing surface here or if it's just these engines are really very weak. Good lord. Okay, we're just crawling along at, what is 50 meters a second? It's like 100 odd miles an hour. We're actually going to quickly look this up. Google will tell me. Uh, 111 miles an hour. So we're really not going very fast and we barely have any climb. I can climb a bit more, but we're going to start bleeding off speed. So yeah, we're going at around about 110-ish miles an hour right now. So we've already, like, just that has fulfilled that contract. I think this, however, we have to take it up to 5,000 meters. Do we think we're going to get to 5,000 meters with this thing, or do we think we want to take the other plane that has jet engines? Because I think maybe we do want to take the other plane that has jet engines. This thing is a little bit on the slow side. It's cool though. I like this cockpit. You get a really good view. Unfortunately, the actual, despite having raster prop monitor installed, these don't seem to be enabled to work with raster prop monitor. So yeah, I think climbing to 5,000 meters might take an awfully long time. So what we'll do is we'll just head back and we'll take the other plane out for a spin. Still though, it's, you know, it's cool. You can, one of the many mods that just lets you build like twin-engined bombers, if you like. But this is definitely not going to make it up to 5,000 meters anytime soon. This really is very slow. It is, of course, you know, it means it's going to be a good stall-capable craft. You're going to be able to take off, well, without needing that much airspeed. But having said that, it's not like it's getting up to speed very quickly, to be honest. Okay, I'm not convinced about the efficacy of these engines. I think we might avoid the propeller engines unless we want to have a particularly slow craft. Like if you wanted to have something that could land safely on water, the propellers would be quite good. But then you'd have to take off again, and I'm not sure the propellers would be good for that, to be honest. Yeah, I think we would need like 4 at least of these, and certainly more wingspan. But the basic concept works. The basic concept does definitely work. And also, we're going to have a far easier time landing this, I suspect. Right, we're going to put the landing gear down, which is also going to put that rear landing gear down, which we'll have to retract manually. Right, oh, let's try and line up the wrong way. Yeah, I think this might be a slightly gentler landing somehow. Whoa. Slightly gentler. Well, you know, oh, wow, we landed at a really short distance. Oh, I can't, this video can't manually toggle the engines. Well, there we go. Yeah, for some reason, one engine is just like, if you have 2 engines, one is just so much less, it's so much quieter than the other. So, yeah, it kind of works, but it would need a lot more. So we'll go with the Juno equipped plane for that that particular thing instead. But still, that was one contract. And we got to try out the... it was fun, we got to try out those. So, Jeb Kerman, oh, he got the landing on Gale ribbon as well. So that's just a repeatable, or, you know, one that multiple Kerbals can get. Oh, the sound issue is a fire spitter bug. Okay. Yeah, a lot of the plane parts do rely on the fire spitter plugin. That's interesting to know. Okay, so we could, you know, extend this out, put more engines on, make it more expensive and whatever, but we want to have a thing that's going to get up to the required altitude before it gets to, like, you know, 5 in the morning or whatever. But the basic concept works. So back to the Doom Dart, and we'll stick the, what was it, the radial parachute. So it's in utilities, and we'll just stick it there. So 5,000 meters and whatever the speed was, which this thing should be able to quite capably manage. Yeah, turbo might be a bit of a misnomer. I think you're right, Sliss. See you, Nikos. Thanks for dropping in. You'll be able to catch the rest of this on YouTube, probably. If you're desperate to find out what happened afterwards. I'll stick the VOD on YouTube. Although, I might have to, like, download it and stitch the two parts together, or I might just have to put them over as part 1 and part 2, something like that. This one's actually got quite a nice low takeoff speed as well, but we've got a pretty reasonable amount of wing area for such a small craft. Adding those canards on. One thing I might actually change is I might swap those over for retractable landing gear. So 5,000, 8,000, 250 to... I'll actually just leave that up there. So we just need to climb to 5,000 meters, and then I think we should be able to go fast enough. If I bring up the autopilot thing and stick on cruise flight, I can actually just say go to 5,000 meters, or we'll say like 5,050 meters or something. Click that button and just it'll do it automatically. Although I'm not sure with the atmospheric flight mod, I'm not sure what parameters it has in terms of its climb rate and all that kind of thing, like if it takes into account what engines you've got and all that sort of thing, or if it just goes up at a default angle. There's probably stuff in here where I can control all that, so I really only have just started using this mod, to be honest. So this won't take too long. 4,000 meters. We are losing a bit of speed, but it's fine. Just a pair of Junos is more than enough to propel this thing up to where we need to go. So that's just over 5. Oh, I've set it to 50,005. So that's a little bit higher. Yeah, no, I don't think this will get up to 50,000 meters somehow. Yeah. Oh, there's a German somebody around, is there? I did happen to bump into a German somebody earlier on. When watching Isolate, drink lots of alcohol. So this is just going to hold me steady at 5,050 meters. And I think we might have to actually pop the drogue chute we do. So we pop the drogue chute and then I can just cut parachute, and that's fine. So what I can do is I can say, right, I want to go down to now 100 meters. I'll actually show off this mod a little bit because it's kind of cool, and hope that I don't kill Jeb in the process. Give it a butterfly tail. How do you mean? See you, Ginge. Thanks for dropping in. Although I might, just to be on the safe side, I don't know, like if this is going to shallow out because we're just diving down at a tremendous. Oh god! Oh god! Pull up! Pull up! Okay, so we now know some of the limitations of this particular mod. That was just a simulation, you guys. That was just a simulation. Okay, so don't tell it to go from 5,000 to 100 meters. I was trying to be clever, but no, it couldn't pull up in time because it doesn't know any better. But that was just a simulation, so it's fine. It's totally fine. Just a simulation, yes. Right. Can we, oh, we need this centre of mass overlay up, really, don't we? It's always slightly annoying on these kind of narrow body designs because you slightly struggle to Nobody saw that. That didn't happen. Yeah, we're definitely not doing strict Iron Man rules on this. I'm just gonna occasionally go retroactively. It was a simulation. We were just testing. It was just a simulation. But it is interesting to know that, that's a limitation. That it will not do that. So, you know, things have been learned. Simulation! Yeah, it's true. The Doom Dart did just live up to its name there. Right, we should actually be able to climb better and faster with the retractable landing gear. So, costs a little bit more, probably weighs a little bit more, but it'll be more aerodynamic. Right. Round 2. And whether or not we're successful determines whether this is a simulation or not. I'm good at this game, I swear. Well, not really. Good's definitely an overstatement. I've played it a fair bit, let's put it that way. I don't think that makes me any good though. Huh, okay, that just like takes off itself. At a certain point. We've got enough lift going that it just takes off itself. That's kind of handy. I've only ever made one other plane design where it does that. For some reason in Kerbal Space Program the landing gear always goes that way. And you can flip it around the other way if you so desire. But that's the way it's, you know, meant to be, air quotes. So, yeah, let's just use the cruise flight control to once again. Hello, what are you doing? Oh, okay, it's weirdly set to 379.4 or something like that for some bizarre reason. So we can climb up once again, stage the parachute, and then hopefully not kill Jeb this time. Hopefully. Well, I don't know. I don't know the, you know, I'm not very au fait with the technology of landing gear. Oh yeah, we're definitely climbing at a better rate this time. Not having that exposed landing gear is, it does make a pretty good difference to the drag. That still is going to produce a little bit of drag. In fact, we can actually turn on the drag overlay, but or the aero overlay. But, I think this is a fairly aerodynamic plane overall. It's certainly better than some of the other planes I've made. So we're just going to level off, and it's going to go fast enough, and then we're going to pop the chute, and then we're going to fly back, and I'm not going to crash it into the ocean this time. I think we'll take manual control for bringing it back down on the deck. But you can, one of the things I was going to take it to 100 meters, and then I was going to set it to go down to like 10 meters, because it can be quite precise. And so you can fly along just above the surface of the water, and it looks cool, because if you were trying to do that yourself, it would be incredibly hard to do. But this mod just, it keeps everything nice and stable for you. It's not perfect. There's some aircraft it's definitely had difficulty with, which were aircraft that just wouldn't fly well anyway. But yeah, it's quite a nice mod. In KSP, I mean, with the stock aero model, it's a lot better than it used to be, but it's not like this is super accurate. There's actually a mod called Ferrum Aerospace. Oh, there we go. We can actually pop the chute now, which aims to have a more accurate aero model for KSP, but it's not updated for the current patch. So, right, we're gonna cut speed, bring it around. I think we're probably subjecting Jeb to some nice G-forces right now, but nothing too bad. I think that's what that meter there is, actually. That's our... Yeah. Ah, okay. G-force is loss of consciousness. So that's what that loss, that knocking Kerbal tourist contract out was, or knocking tourists out contract rather. Right, we don't need that panel anymore. I'll just go on a shallow descent. I think I'm sort of lined up with the runway from here-ish. So this thing, I mean, we're not carrying a huge amount of fuel, but the Junos don't use a huge amount of fuel, so you probably have a fair cruising range on this, and it can go, I think, at least around about the speed of sound when you're on full throttle. So for longer, you know, if you were going to do a longer contract for going and doing like crew reports from different areas, there are mods also that add contracts for specifically for, you know, aircraft. That would be a possibility. But with Thunder Aerospace, or is it aerospace? Yeah, it will be aerospace. Thunder Aerospace Corporation life support. Even with planes, you do still need to take some life support supplies with you. Obviously, oxygen isn't a problem when you're inside the atmosphere of Kerbin, but you still need to take food and water for your Kerbals. They can still suffocate. No, not suffocate. Starve or die of dehydration. But they can't suffocate because you're on Kerbin and there's air all around them. Help, I am bored. That's unusual for you, Azriel. Sombra. I don't know what to suggest. I mean, you know, you could always do this. Kerbal Space Program with 50 bazillion mods on it. I don't know. I don't play a lot of tremendously up-to-date games, and I suspect our tasting games probably wouldn't coincide that much. Right, I'm just kind of chugging along on 1/3 power at the moment. At higher altitudes, I don't know when that would click in, and ZQ. Presumably, over a certain point. I mean, it might be just tied to... it might just decide that once you're above 70 kilometers and in space, then you need oxygen. But no, logically, you would need oxygen before that point. I don't actually know how that works with TAC life support. I mean, there's always old standbys like... you know, Skyrim with the 64-bit client, you can now mod it till it bleeds. Although I don't know how many mods... I haven't checked in with Skyrim for ages. Like, I presume a lot of the modders have now started moving over to the Thingamy edition that came out on PC, because the biggest thing wasn't the fact that it's, you know, better textures, which is more of a thing for console, but the fact that it's got a 64-bit client, which is obviously rather better for modders. Woo. Come on. Oh, no, lost a wing, oh god. Killed Jebediah. Well, you know what, we're going to say that one happened. We've killed our first Kerbal. We're going to go with that. We're going to roll with it. We killed Jebediah Kerman. Rip Jebediah. That was such a bad landing. Oh well. Poor Jebediah. I could revert flight, but I feel like that was not some design flaw or anything. That was just my terrible flying. So there we go. That's our first casualty. Hey, I wasn't kidding about that stream title, hey? It's not the first time I've killed Jebediah by any means. Yeah, let's just recover those bits of debris. Rip. The Doom Dart has claimed another victim. Well, yeah, technically it already claimed Jeb as a victim, but that was a simulation. And I could have just said that was a simulation, but that feels really cheap at that point. I'm gonna have lots of weird double standards when it comes to this stuff. Clearly. Anyway, so it's fine. He did his job. He died with honor. Nobody said this was, being a test pilot's a risky job. It's a risky job. Nobody said it would be easy. No, we're not taking that one. Landed at Gale. In flight over Gale, 10,000, 15,000. It's not really any good contracts at the moment. Did we unlock the manned capsule yet? No, I went for planes instead, didn't I? So, we could try and build a rocket with one of the plane cockpits. I don't know how well those would do. In terms of their re-entry capability. $2,000K, that might be enough for coming back from Kerbin orbit. I don't know if I should risk it. Right, Rip, when you kill astronauts like that, by the way, it affects your reputation. And reputation is what gets you better and better contracts over time from successful missions. So, we quickly run through, we've got another pair of test at launch site contracts, so we can just do those. And that will actually force some more contracts to appear as well. So we've got 2 stack separator / decouplers to test. So the TR-18A is that one, and the TR-2C is that one. R.I.P. Jebediah. I mean, if you want to go super hardcore Sombra, I don't know if you've ever played Dwarf Fortress, but that's a glorious game. It's also really very difficult, but it's fantastic. I enjoy reading about Dwarf Fortress way more than I enjoy playing Dwarf Fortress, partly because the interface is horrible, but also it's been in development for 10 years by, it's like literally 2 brothers, I think it is, that develop it. And they've been doing it for 10 years, and it's just an incredibly deep game. But it's also very, very difficult. Right, science data from space around Gale. We've actually already done that, but we can just do it again for another quick hit of funds. What else? KW Rocketry Maverick 1D. That's one to do through staging. That would be, trying to set that up through the staging would be a little bit annoying. It's fine. We'll just take all the launch pad ones we can get, because they're just quick hits of funds and you can do multiple ones in the same go. Shooty, shooty, killy, killy. Well, there's lots of killy, killy in Dwarf Fortress, but yeah, it's not so much staring at dots as staring at ASCII. But it's yeah, the interface is basic. It's always been basic. Now these are all really awkward. These contracts, and I don't want to do anything that involves satellites or anything just yet. We don't really have the parts for doing manned orbital anything. We need more science at the moment, basically. Probably the best way to do it is if we go to the tracking station, maybe try and find some different biomes, which is we're going to risk more Kerbals' lives flying around. But what we could do is, if we take, this might be where the propeller-driven plane comes in, and we add some more engines to it, and we try and make it into a short takeoff and landing craft, and then we just go and collect science from places. If I get another Kerbal, we'll have to get more Kerbals in at some point. I've killed one already, which is a bit bad. But yeah, we could. I could. Yeah, certainly name one of them after Chuck Yeager. I think that's something I can do. I'm not sure I need a mod for that. How does that? Is that a radial attachment? Oh, I think that's... I'm not entirely sure how that... Okay, that's not radial attached, so I don't quite know how that's meant to attach that that thing there. Right, so, you know, we could always just... Oh, we can't tweak scale those. Oh, okay, we can't tweak scale those engines. I was going to say, we could tweak scale them and just have two really big, massive ones, but no, sadly not. Right, we're actually just, rather than increase the part count, because we can't really afford to increase the part count, I'm going to pull those off there. So, I mean, we've upgraded the runway, but we haven't upgraded this. So, the runway is now capable of taking bigger planes, but we can't necessarily build big planes yet. So, that's still deploying the same way. We'll remove the landing gear from that. Those outer engines. I could give it, but we want to be able to land on rougher ground at lower speeds. So we're just going to have a little fiddle and hope that this is okay. We also... 28. Ooh, we're nearing our part count limit. I can't add much more fuel to it. That's a negative. Oh, we also... Oh, good lord. Okay, I need to trim parts. Because adding those engines is kind of it. Like adding the extra wings and adding the engines. I'm gonna have to. It's gonna have to look messy. We're gonna have to steal those. And just have those be open frames. Because we can't afford the parts at the moment. We need to increase the part count. So we'll take the Communitron 16. In fact, you know what? We can like literally stick it right in the tail. But we'll also... Oh, do I want to just take the S3 or the 16S rather? I think... yeah, they're functionally the same. Okay, I thought that had a better bandwidth rate. This has a very marginally better one, but it's also more expensive. The advantage of this is we can transmit while we're flying, basically. The other one we could only transmit while we'd landed. So, couple of science instruments on the back, and we'll actually take scientist Bob Kerman because I think that increases the science output, and hopefully we don't kill more people. Let's just check. do a last check of the... Yeah, it should be fine. I don't know how far... Like, these are efficient engines, but I don't know how far 400 fuel's going to get us. And, of course, we don't have to fly all the way back to the Space Center. We could just land and recover vessel. We get less funds back from not landing back at the runway, but it also does save some time. Okay, so a little bit of wobble. And good God, that's loud with 4 engines rather. I can count. Unlike Captain Picard, who clearly can't count. I mean, geez, there were clearly 5 lights. Come on, Picard. Okay, so just for the duration of this, we're going to turn the game sound right down because that's super loud. And also it looks so very ghetto. Look at that. That looks terrible, but we literally can't afford the part count to make that any better. We do have more speed. I mean, this is now a heavier craft. But I'm struggling to... Why can't we get this off the ground? I might need to... Okay, let's just adjust the... I think the landing gear needs to be adjusted. Three seashells. Good Lord, there's another reference. But... I don't know. That was a silly film. Hey, Errington Jesse. Do I need any tips? Probably. I have played a bunch of KSP, but I'm playing with some mods that I've not played with before. I mean, Galileo Planet Pack by itself does not... Like, mechanically, it doesn't introduce anything new. But having the tech tree now be different in its layout and getting parts in a different way is posing some interesting challenges. Right, is it still... I swear we got off the ground last time with the landing gear in the position it was at. Do we just need more pitch? No, okay, the problem... Yeah, we need to... I don't know, putting that extra weight laterally there as I guess it brought the centre of mass forward. Which just means the landing gear... Let's like really bring it forward then. Which, I don't know, the distance between the landing gear now seems perilously short to me, but clearly that's what's needed. Oh, the Bowfighter in War Thunder. Like, the Bowfighter is just a nice plane in War Thunder. But War Thunder itself... Gaijin, good lord. If you ever feel in need of being entertained, go and read the War Thunder subreddit. Which, you know, if you think people are salty online about World of Tanks, you should see how salty people are about Gaijin. It'll be fine, Bob! It'll be fine. It'll all be fine. And it'll all be okay. And let's just forget that this is the runway where Jebediah met his untimely end. Whoa, hello. I wanted to look outside and somehow we ended up kind of looking in. Right, I want to pull up. I really want to pull up. Okay, put the engines closer to... Okay. And also we do need to, I think, move the landing gear yet more forward still. Right, let's try that. Oh, I'm also, yeah, we'll bump that up to 150%. The Jebediah Kerbal Memorial Runway. Rotate the front wheel. Oh, overlap the props. I missed that bit. Do you mean have them staggered? Or do you just mean closer together generally? I don't know. Let's try this. Move the outer engines. Oh, okay. Oh, we're actually now flying as well, which is nice. Though not very high. We turned on with the thing. We don't seem to be getting quite enough lift. We're just bumping along. It doesn't seem to want to go very fast, even with 2 extra engines. Yeah, we're not getting a lot of extra lift out of this. We might go back and tweak it again. Look at the pitch of this thing when we are actually sinking. It's fine. It's completely fine. It's just a simulation, you guys. It's just a simulation. Yeah, that time definitely was just a simulation. Because this thing needs some serious tweaking. Right. The center of lift and whatever are already quite close together. But yeah, we'll try that with the engines and we'll... Wait, which way round was it? Stag the engines... I'm definitely not nearly as good with planes as I am with, you know, I've spent a lot more time with rockets than I have with the planes. And I've definitely not ever tried to make a plane with turboprops before. This particular mod is new to me. Right, I guess we'll stick that on the outside edges there. Right, so yeah, that's the centre of lift and the centre of mass at the moment. Well, it is a 3-wheeler, Latika Mafia. My centre of lift to be under. The centre of... Okay. I guess that's because I've got the high wing that it's doing that then. So is there any way to keep this design as it is, or do I just have to drop the wing? I guess I would have just to drop the wing. Learn, crash, repeat. Well, that is the Kerbal way. Although that's also bringing the centre of mass down. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I think it's just I don't know, it doesn't seem to particularly have a benefit for having the extra engines, to be quite honest. Let's take a quick look at what other engines are available. Rotate the front wheel. Do you mean like have it be 360 the other way? Like that? I presume. Although I will have to invert the steering there, won't I? I think? Anyway. Oh, I could also... There's always that option as well, actually. Making the wings slightly anhedral. Third pair of engines! Right, you don't want me to rotate the wheel that way. God, now I know how... Like... That New Year's stream with Maxwell and KSP, now I know how Maxwell felt, and I was going, no, just do it this way, just do it this way. Yeah, I think we might. I don't know. Because that does bring the centre of lift down a little bit, but it also does lower the centre of mass slightly if you make them anhedral. Although that is now messing with the landing gear a bit. I don't know. Let's try this. We're just kind of experimenting at this point. I don't know how well this thing would do with rough landings. We might even... I think we can scale the landing gear. 200%. Okay, that's maybe a little bit big. But if I scale to, say, 120%. I don't know if we could kind of like do that. What does that do? Rocket assisted takeoff. Well, rocket assisted takeoff is always an option in KSP. Right, what did I set it to? Like 120? So I need to turn off steering though. Right, so I probably need to slightly increase the spring and damper strength as well, because I think that's partly I've been doing that because I've been playing with space planes a bit more and they're a bit bouncy, but that might be one of the reasons why I had a hard time getting the thing down and then killed Jeb, because it was a bit too bouncy. Right, I've got enough part count to at least put some things on those ones. Right, so I don't know if the guy that was watching us just left in disgust. I wouldn't blame him. Oh, that's the wrong part. Oh, that's definitely... What have I done there? Don't make the engines disappear. They're kind of useful and vital. Right, I have no idea. Let's try this. I don't know if this is going to be any good at doing any kind of landings, but, you know, up until the point where we're doing successfully, I think we'll just call this all of a simulation. Because I don't really want to lose any more Kerbal pilots at this point. Right, so this is what we've got. Hopefully it'll take off a bit better. I think with 4 engines, it's definitely getting up to about 50 meters a second quicker. Although we're now wandering over the runway a bit more because we... oh, there we go. Oh, hello. Oh yeah, we don't have the thing turned on, that's why. Well, that's a definite improvement. That's a definite improvement. Okay. I don't know what we did there, but it worked. I wonder if we can look out the side and see the propellers going around. We can. That's kind of cool. It's fine, Bob. It's fine. We probably won't die. Probably. Hopefully. It's probably fine, and it's probably not going to get us all killed, Bob. It's fine. Don't panic. Don't look so worried. Right, so question is, do we have enough rate of climb to basically want to go over this way and try and land and just take some science readings. Now with 4 engines we do have a reasonably high... I don't think it uses as much as jet engines would do, but we can maintain this angle of climb, and we're keeping our speed. So I think this is just kind of about the max speed of these engines, but we've got more thrust, so that's fine. So there's only crew reports we can do right now. No, I'll actually just toggle all the science instruments that we've got, because we can also do crew reports, of course. We can't get out though. There's no... Like, this cockpit doesn't have a door to get out, so actually that's a bit of a disadvantage of using this cockpit. But then it can carry 2 people, and having a scientist on board means more science. So yeah, this is a bit slow, but it's a very... This seems like a very steady rate of climb. Oh, it was the engines. Okay. So basically, like wiggling the engines around has helped. And I guess it will have shifted the centre of mass a bit as well. It looks a bit weird clipping through the wing like that, but these structural fuselage parts are, like I say, they're a pain in the arse. Quite often I don't even use them. I use these liquid fuel fuselages and just empty them. And I think they probably weigh slightly more, but they also behave much better when you're trying to move parts around in the vehicle assembly building. So here we go, the Turbo Cyber, the completely aptly named Turbo Cyber Mark 1. Oh, that's a thought actually, Cyber. Although I don't know if KSP will let you do that. I don't think it lets you... Well, there's a thrust limiter from 0 to 100, but it's not like flaps. It's not like control surfaces where you can set it to negative values and basically invert it. So I think engines only ever go in one direction. I don't think you can have pusher propellers in KSP. Like, it's a nice thought. I wish you could, but I don't think this mod, even though it adds engines in, I don't think it'll let you have pusher engines, unfortunately. Also, I have no idea what the other discussion going on in the chat is, but maybe I just won't take any part in that. There is actually a door. You can actually see it in the little the pilot camos. See, Bob's enjoying himself now. In fact, there, you can see it there. There's a door, but the rear of the cabin has to be uncovered for them to be able to exit the cabin, essentially. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And it should be a lot safer to touch down somewhere over here. We won't bother flying it back to the space centre though. We just want to go and gather some science, basically. So, I think this is all the Highlands biome. I don't have a biome map yet. One of the mods I got is called ScanSat, which lets you put up satellites that give you much more detailed information than the vanilla kind of scanning possibilities do. So it will, once you put satellites in a polar orbit, it will let you scan and I know we've got all these already. Build up a biome map, for instance. So, oh, there we go, temperature scan. We don't have that one already. Right, more science! 2 science! All of the science. I don't think we're going to get a huge amount of science doing this, but we just need a bit more science, basically. I need the Mark 1 crew capsule, and then we can send someone into space, and then at that point I'll probably finish the stream off there. You could do like a Reliant Robin out of like structural panels. It'd be really fiddly to do, but you could make a Reliant Robin out of structural panels and then like send it up in a rocket. Oh, that was the wrong key. I want to do that. I did make one plane in on my stock career. I'll just call it my stock career for the sake of simplicity, where I don't know what I did, but basically once I got it in the air it would start almost flying sideways, so I clearly did something a bit wrong there, because I'm pretty sure it wasn't supposed to go sideways, but it did. So no, and no to all of those. I do hope they fix that fire spitter bug, because that's really annoying with it all coming out of one headphone so much. What? What happened? I don't... Did we run out of... Ah! What? What did the engines just do? I don't understand. We're not out of fuel. We've got loads of fuel. What's going on? Engines don't suddenly stop working for no reason. They do seem to have their own separate air intake resource. They keep stuttering. I'm really worried now. I mean, this thing has got more than enough wing surface that it probably glides okay, but yeah. Also, these should, in theory, be putting out electric charge. The thing did say they have alternators, but we're actually just running down on electric charge, so... Oh, is it because we're pitching down? Okay then. Or is that because we're... Oh, I wonder if it's because we're like going too fast and that's the engines just cutting out. Ah, maybe. That might be it. That might be how it models like overspeeding. It just cuts out. Yeah, there we go. The electric charge is going up now. Right. That's one thing I probably should have stuck on this is extra battery capacity. We've only got a battery capacity of 50. So we have to run the engines to get enough power to, yeah. So yeah, it wasn't even that we were descending, it's the fact that the descending was making us go a bit faster. And you go too fast and it just goes sput, 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 sput. So you have to descend quite slowly. Right, if we were going to put this thing down, where would we do it? Over this way looks marginally flatter. I could do with upgrading both the VAB and the spaceplane hangar, but those are very expensive, so we're gonna have to like grind some contracts in order to do those, basically. So we're just basically crawling along at a third, 1/3 power. So maybe having 4 engines is just overkill, but on the other hand it's going to help us take off quicker. Right, if I gear down, in theory that will produce more drag and slow us down, because we don't have air brakes or any such thing. But obviously we also don't want to stall. Stalling would be a bad thing. But even with it turned down, it's still like super loud. So in theory this ought to be possible. This is all just, you know, a simulation. It's all just a simulation, of course. Whoa, that ground's coming off awfully quickly. Right, let's just toggle the brakes on. Oh, up, 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 up. Oh, oh, oh. And we're braking. There we go. So, you know, the fact that it goes slow means also it can land quickly. So that's the advantage. Right, we don't seem to get any electric anything from just sitting here idling the engine. So we're going to have to take the crew report and just, we're going to have to like keep the experiments until we get into flight. So log seismic data. So let's rev the engines, get back in the air, which I hope we can do in a relatively quick space of time. Come on. Go faster, go faster, go faster, go faster. There we go. So yeah, this does work for this purpose, but I think to have anything more than a short range, it ultimately needs more fuel. And also I would have to have a lot of patience. This is not the kind of thing I'd do on stream. But you know, it works. It does work. It will land in rougher terrain, and it will land in a short space, and it will do what I want it to. So what we'll do is we'll start transmitting these reports. But we're going to have to wait for the cockpit battery to refill every time. Right, so we're here. There's the space center. I don't know if this is all just one biome or if there are multiple biomes. I would hope there are multiple biomes. Install camera tools. I don't think I have that, so that's something I might go away and do afterwards, but yeah. Right, we might have enough to... What's that? 6 megabits. Yeah, this is definitely a flaw. We need a bigger battery on this thing because we've only just got enough to transmit this data from the electric power that's stored in the cabin. And it's nice that I can just transmit all of this as well. Oh no, we can't transmit that. Okay, that runs out of power super quick. We can only get that seismometer data back if we recover the ship. The barometer and the thermometer though, we can definitely transmit that. I wonder if I can yeah, let's do a bit of physics warp to get the battery charged quicker. The OV-10 Bronco, that sounds vaguely familiar. Right, review data, transmit data. And then this one, 3 megabits. So that's about double, so we'd need sort of like 100 battery capacity. So just even a small battery would be sufficient, I suspect. So there we go, more science. It's only a little bit, but still. Right, I don't know if we want to try and fly a bit further and then just set it down somewhere. It's a very... Like, this is all just kind of uplands, highland terrain, so it's... doesn't seem to be a lot of variation on this particular continent. Maybe Gale is supposed to, you know, be like Scotland. It's supposed to be all mountainous. Because a lot of the planet very much looks like that. So, I could just head back to base, or we could just land it once again, and I could just recover, and I think that might actually be by far the quicker option. Oh, hello. Also, I've managed to knock out the engines again. Yeah, over about 56, so over about 110, it just goes and cuts out. So yeah, let's just land it and recover it. We know this principle works, though. I don't think I'm brave enough to try an in-cockpit view landing. That's one thing I would like to watch, is somebody that knows what they're doing, like a career playthrough where they only do it IVA view. Even if they were doing things like using Kerbal Operating System. But I've never, I've looked around a little bit on YouTube, but I've never really found one. I found people doing individual missions in IVA view, but I've never seen anybody do a series where they stick to doing everything strictly in IVA view. Right, so throttle down. Where's the shadow? Oh, there's the ground. It's a good thing this thing's fairly rugged. So there's the brakes and handbrake turn. Completely smooth. So yeah, let's just recover the vessel from here. Yeah, this is all still Highlands. Where's that Cyber Wraith? Who's doing that adaptation? Yeah, I've read SSGB. Is it Len Dayton? Or Dayton, or however you say his name? Donkeys ago, but I know I've read that. Right, Bob Kerman got some things, that's fine. Right. Well, that's literally just go into orbit and come back for that particular thing. So we can do that with an unmanned one. So, BBC. Well, I might have to, you know, catch it at some other point. I'm sure it'll be on Netflix or something at some point, because a lot of BBC stuff does seems to pop up on Netflix. But yeah, I'm a man of conscience. I don't pay a license fee, so I don't watch the iPlayer, which you're not allowed to these days without paying a license fee. They closed that loophole, the ratbags. No, it's fair enough though, because it definitely was a loophole. Right, we've got one parachute available, but we can scale it up. So, that should, in principle. So we just need to come to orbit and then go back, and we also get we've got a thing for collecting science. So if we land this somewhere where we haven't landed before, it's actually worth having the thingamabob, the whatchamacallit, the seismometer on board. So it's technically a small parachute, but we've scaled it up, so it will be more than enough. It's more scaled up, so it provides a nose cone, an aerodynamic nose cone, than anything else. I don't think it needs to be that big for that upper stage. So we're gonna send the trusty testbed beta up into space once again. That does sound worth watching though. Yeah, I remember SSGB being rather different. Rather good. Yeah, Len Dayton. That's the one where the chief, the character's like a cop, right? Yeah. Oh, I actually tabbed out to look at the thing, and I've just noticed on the preview screen it's blown up because reasons. That wasn't supposed to happen. But yeah, if it's a good adaptation, because BBC adaptations aren't always. They did an adaptation of the Ian Banks novel Stonemouth, or Stonemouth, as I think it was supposed to be, and also we can turn the sound back up now. I was not impressed. I think I watched the first episode and thought, that's a bit rubbish, isn't it? And it's a bit sad, but yeah, there haven't really been a lot of good adaptations of Ian Banks. Like, I don't think there's ever been any adaptations of anything by any Ian M. Banks novel, rather, any of his sci-fi stuff. And there's been a couple of attempts to adapt his genre fiction, but generally speaking, it's been kind of rubbish. The best of them is probably The Crow Road, which was okay. It wasn't a great adaptation, but it was okay. But yeah, Stonemouth was just a bit rubbish. Yeah, we don't have any launch clamps at the moment, so I think just me letting it stand there a little bit too long. It wasn't happy sitting on its tail for that long. Right. We're going to try doing a bit better with gravity turning this time. So we're at 10,000 meters. This is the point where I really wish I had MechJeb's little orbit info screen. But there's always Kerbal Engineer as well, of course. I've just never used Kerbal Engineer because I've always used MechJeb. 24k. I keep forgetting to merge those stages in with the 36. So we just need to go into orbit, transmit some science, and then bring this thing back down again and have it survive. 55. Oh, right, there we go. And that's putting into a polar orbit, which is actually kind of okay in that polar orbit then gives us a wide choice. It's not quite a polar orbit, but it's not so far off. Right, that's not quite circular, but it's an orbit. So this is actually going to cost more delta V than last time as well, but that's fine. Right, so we need to burn about 15 seconds beforehand. So that's fine. Our dinky wee test package. Well, I happen to live all by myself. All by myself. Yeah, I don't know why I burst into song there, but yes, no, I'm living in my own little place, so I'm not sharing with anybody. Usually, if I want to catch up with stuff, I basically go and watch it at my parents', or I wait for it to come on Netflix. And a lot does seem to come on Netflix from the BBC in terms of their drama series. So, another 15 seconds. I can burn to orbit, and then we just basically have to. You thought I lived in a shack with others. Now, come on now, Cyber Wraith. Who'd have me? Who'd have me? Oh, right, also we need to burn. So yeah, we know at this point that this upper stage absolutely does have more than enough delta V, because it's just a tiny little package on top of this thing. Of a probe core, a little reaction wheel, and some batteries, and a few other odds and ends. Although, having said that, oh, we're perilously close to running out of. We just made it, but only just. We've got a tiny amount left. It'll be enough to deorbit, and that's the main thing. I don't know if my manual takeoff there was just not very, not very good. I think that's probably the main thing. And also this orbit as well. You're not getting the benefit. The reason why you want to take off in a zero inclination equatorial orbit is because you get the benefit of the planet's rotation helping you out. So it's the most cost efficient way, whereas launching into, say, a polar orbit is not particularly cost efficient at all. I think the least cost efficient is actually launching against the rotation. But yeah, I ought to move to the communist utopia of Finland. Yes, I've heard much about it's such a utopia, right? Everybody has everything they need, and everything is 100% brilliant and fine and wonderful. It's just all wonderful, right? Yeah, Finland, it's a magical place with fairies and unicorns. So, should we try and come down over the poles? And I have to do it to account for... Now, last time we tried re-entry, it just kind of burned up. And I think... I don't know if that might happen this time. Because we don't have any kind of re-entry shields. And we don't have a lot of fuel to decelerate ourselves. So we'll try it. And it might be that this doesn't work at all. So we'll give it a go. Oh, also... Oh. Damn it, are we technically not in orbit anymore? Ah! Right back. No, wait, I think it still counts. I don't think it had to be orbital. I think it just was transmit. So we're just going to transmit data that we already have because it doesn't matter. It still counts for the contract. Whew, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I meant to do that. Right. God, I'm so good at, you know, games and everything. This is why it's probably a good thing I don't have a real job, because then I might actually be dangerous. Right, we've got a tiny bit of fuel left. We'll try and keep it pointing retrograde. I don't think it'll help much. We've certainly got enough battery power. But this is the point where maybe having a heat shield would be quite useful. Even just for our little science package. Well, that's one of the things. Like, if there's another independence referendum, which Theresa May seems to staunchly be against allowing that to happen at all, that was one of the big questions. You know, what would we do for defence? Are we going to have our own army, or do we somehow rely on the United Kingdom armed forces? Do we have some kind of treaty with the United Kingdom? I don't know. There's just all these questions. It was a big reason why I voted no the first time round, because of all the questions. Right, that tiny little puff of whatever that we had left. Oh, that's nice. Aurora Borealis. So we're actually increasing in speed now. If we turn on the temperature overlay, we'll be able to see when things start to heat up. And we'll not say this one's a simulation, because, you know, it's for science and... nothing's lost except a little bit of funds. So we're starting to get a little bit of heating. I don't know if we tumble it, if that'll help. We can start to see the shades of red increasing. That's one of the not cheats exactly, but one of the things you can do during re-entry is just have it tumble so the heat doesn't stay on any one part for too long. I think with because when I've played it so far with stock settings, or my stock career rather, I don't tend to have this problem, but I probably got separate settings. I probably didn't. Oh, did we run out of electric charge, or are we just now not able to overcome the atmospheric forces? Oh, loss of signal. That's why we've got loss of signal from the re-entry plasma. So it's all in the hands of RNGesus now. Whether this heats up too much or not. Yeah, because like you don't particularly need heat shields, but for coming back from just going up to Kerbin orbit anyway. And as Gale is the same size as Kerbin, theoretically, you don't need a heat shield, but it might just be because I've been using different settings. Now, I know I won't have changed the re-entry heat slider, because that's a thing you can do, is you can ramp up the difficulty by making re-entry that much hotter. We might lose the engine bell. We're starting to get an overheat gauge on that. The rest of it's fine, though. We aren't just... I think last time... because I just sent it in sideways, but this time I actually tried to come in retrograde and I was able to burn off a little bit more. This might well survive. I think this is actually going to survive. Also, last time we came down really sharply, like from a really steep angle, I suspect. The last time we watched something come back into the atmosphere, whereas this time we kind of eased ourselves back in a little bit. So you've got longer to slow down. Whereas if you slice straight down back towards the ground, you've got barely any time to slow down at all. So there we go. Oh, the clouds, the volumetric clouds have just popped in. So theoretically, we are going to land over the poles and we can collect some science data. Oh, we've got signal back as well, so that's fine. Got some atmospheric forces going on. I wonder if we can turn on our... Oh, okay. Turning on the atmospheric control autopilot. I think doing that with anything other than a plane makes things go a bit wonky. So at 10,000 meters, apparently we can pop the parachute anytime. Just take a look there. But you know what? We'll pop the parachute right now. I'll turn on stability control to... yeah, so what we can do is we can get a double dose of science. So we can get... from the thermometer and the barometer, we can get stuff as we're flying over. Oh no, okay, we can't with the barometer. That's just flying above gale, apparently. So there's differing biome science available for the thermometer, but not for the barometer, not when flying anyway. And the accelerometer, of course, that's not going to work until we actually land. So that should just deposit us down. If we lose the engine bell, it doesn't matter especially. So I do like the idea of this. I like this pack. This you know, this unmanned before manned, because it forces you to do things differently, and it forces you to send up test rockets and to try things out, and you know, make sure the technology works. It kind of makes sense from that perspective. So are those trees? Are we coming down to find Christmas trees at the North Pole? I think somebody's got a sense of humour there. So we might fast forward slightly, because otherwise this is going to take quite a while to drift down to the ground. We have to make sure we don't land on the ground with the time warp or the physics warp enabled, because bad things happen from what I understand, and it would be a pity to mess up the contract at this stage. But this last bit of floating down always does take so long. We might land on Santa. I don't know if Gale has Santa Claus or Father Christmas or Sinterklaas or some variation thereof. But who knows? It might do. So almost there. We don't have a shadow or anything to really judge from. But it looks like we're quite close. Yeah, it's trees. There's just trees growing at the pole. That totally makes sense. Trees growing on the southern ice cap. Totally. Yeah, that's definitely someone with a sense of humour. Right, so that should be gentle enough that we just go plonk. We're actually just sitting on the engine bell. So log seismic data. Get that transmitted. God, yeah, that's eating up a chunk of battery. So we need far more battery power to be sending seismic data back from the plane if we want to do it that way. Log pressure data. Did that actually... Yes, okay, pressure scan has done, and then... There we go. So we're not getting huge amounts of science for this, but we're getting some science. And then we can just recover vessel. The Hogfather. Yes, nice reference there. God, I haven't read that book in ages. I have to say, that's probably one of the few Terry Pratchett Discworld books that I did not fully enjoy. There's not many of them. Really not many of them. So we get 10 science just for recovering a vessel from orbit. We're still at that stage of things. And we also transmitted some science back. So 61.8 science. This is all with just the default 100% science return, so we're not having to seriously grind it. That's another thing you can do, is you can turn the science returns right down, so it forces you to go to more places to collect more science. to actually progress down the tech tree. But I'm not going to do that. That might make things a bit grindy. So this is what we want to go for because it gives us the Mark 1 command pod. So back down to 16 science, but we can now build some manned rockets maybe. But I think if we do, that will be for another time. I think I'm going to wrap it up there because it's getting a little bit late now. God, yes, almost 2 in the morning. I hadn't even realised it was that late. So yeah, definitely. And look out for this on YouTube. I will upload this to YouTube, probably in 2 parts. Because I can't be bothered downloading it, smooshing it together and then uploading it again. Because it's just going to, you know, make the quality even more iffy than it already will be from a straight export to YouTube. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. This has actually been quite fun. It's been different. This different sort of sense of progression. As far as Galileo's Planet Pack goes, we haven't. I mean, I haven't seen any of the good stuff yet. I think you've got to go much further out before you start to see the true niceness of it. But I've seen other people playing with it, and it does look like it's very nicely polished. It's very well done. So yeah, I shall look forward to that. So I think I might well keep streaming this just on and off, doing this Galileo career mode, and maybe next time I'll have even been slightly organised enough to get together a proper mods list as well. So thank you all for tuning in, and enjoy your evening or day wherever you are, and I hope to see you next time.